Welcome everyone. A great Easter Monday, Tuesday, Monday. It's Monday, isn't it? Yep. So I thought I'd make you a video because it's much easier than replying to emails. It's quite difficult in a way, isn't it? Replying to an email to get people to understand practical things in a kind of written way. Yeah. So I wanted to ask the questions directly. So what you asked was, is it going to be like counselling, or is it going to be more practical? It's going to be completely practical. It's not going to be counselling where it's going to be listening based. We're going to listen to you talk about the problems in terms of how it's affected you over the years, talk about your child. It's complete opposite to that. All it is focusing on the practical reasons why you have not recovered. So you come across as a clever guy, a confident guy, a capable guy, a resourceful person. So my job primarily is to find the blocks, find the reasons why you have not yet recovered, and enable you to get back on track in the same way that you were before. So very often with people, there's a few different factors that affect their panic attacks and cause them to continue. And the whole purpose is during the first session, because obviously I want to talk about the whole time we're going to work together, but the whole purpose during the first session is to find that out, is to find specifically what's been limiting you. Now, for some people, I don't know what it is for you yet, for some people, it's purely commitment. So for some people, they've never really been committed. So in order for someone to recover, they've got to have a plan. They've got to work consistently at it for a period of at least 3 weeks, and then begin to get improvement week on week to build their confidence. So many people have never done that. So that's a reason why they haven't recovered. The second thing that holds people back is often their beliefs, where we kind of get caught in a trap after a period of time, and avoidance, safety behaviors, comfort seeking begins to trap us in a way, and we begin to get tricked into thinking that alleviating the problem, managing the problem is the best we can hope for. Yep. So we focus on the day-to-day tasks we have to do that day, which is a normal thing to do. So maybe I've got to go to the shop now, maybe I've got to go to work, and all we try and do is not have a panic attack and not feel bad in that one moment. The problem with that is it's not really the same as recovery. And if you want to feel better tomorrow and feel better next week, it's very likely it's different actions that you'll take in order to shift the patterns in your brain so that you feel more confident, more capable, and your brain reacts less tomorrow than it is just by simply avoiding going to the shop or avoiding those different things. So it's kind of a catch-22 in this, isn't it? Because it's frustrating, because many people got caught in different patterns of avoidance for years and years and years and years. So it's shifting that on its head, isn't it? And beginning to understand that by having a consistent plan that you've put in place, where you begin to desensitize your brain, you begin to feel more comfortable with those experiences, and you begin to move forward in a way that's right for you. So another thing that we'll focus on over the time is understanding how whenever anyone has a peak negative experience, your brain obviously associates all the different factors towards it. So if you have a peak experience of a panic attack, which is pretty much as peak as it can possibly get, then all the different factors you associate towards it. It's like you said about your throat or your mouth. So different physiological symptoms, different people over the years have told me they associate to panics. Whenever they feel or notice or pay attention to that physiological experience, instantly triggers panic, and it begins to go around that feedback loop, creating a panic attack. Now, these are different physiological triggers for everyone, but in order for us to move forward, we have to firstly break that pattern of associating those things to panic, associating those to panic attack, so you begin to experience those feelings as normal physiological feelings. For example, the feeling that you had in your mouth or your throat, can't remember which one it was now. Realistically, if you'd have experienced that 10 years ago, it would have just been a sensation. It would have just been a sensation, but now you associate it as a trigger to panic. So when you experience it, it's very, very different, and it instantly sets your mind off, and causes that feedback loop to increase in that way. So one of the things that we do is find out what physiological triggers, mental triggers, emotional triggers, cognitive triggers that you have, and begin to desensitize those things, so that the first thing that happens, it doesn't instantly set your panic off. And secondly, second or thirdly, I don't know. But anyway, another thing that we'll do over the time is understand how you're currently dealing with panic attacks. So what you're currently doing, how you're going through them, and whether the process that you're following at the moment is causing your brain to believe that that's the correct way to respond or the wrong way to respond. Because obviously the whole basis of your body releasing stress hormones is because it believes at some level that you're in danger and that you could die. Now, panic attack is kind of the peak of that, isn't it? Because when we feel all that panic, on some level, we genuinely feel like we're going to die, because obviously that's how your brain is wired to feel. So, what was I going to say then? Yes, so part of it is understanding how to put in place, responding to it differently, whether that's the things you do before, whether it's the things you do after, or whether it's things you do during, so that your brain responds to it differently each time. So rather than if it's been, since October, I think you said, so if it's been the same every time, now it's doing things to interrupt that pattern, to break that pattern, so that you respond differently. Now, people often naturally do this. Very often people naturally do this. Where if you speak to someone and they say, well, I had panic attacks for a year and then they went away and I had them for this time and that time, they naturally often begin to respond differently and deal with it differently, which is what breaks down the pattern and causes people to move forward. So that's the basic process. The process is that. So it's understanding the reasons why that you have not yet moved forward recently, then putting in place specific plan, in order to break those habits and begin to move forward, and just deal with any associating factors around the panic attacks, so that your panic attacks reduce in frequency, i.e. the amount you have them, reduce intensity, so they're less intense and last a shorter amount of time, and so you mentally and emotionally deal with it better. So rather than, often people, when they come and see me with panic attacks, they hate them. They're the absolute worst thing in the world. They resist them, completely, which is a normal thing to do. So you want to move from hate them, they're the worst thing in the world, to something you feel more comfortable with, and eventually something that doesn't bother you at all. Now, I know at this stage that seems impossible, but there's no other way to really do it, is there? Because if it's something you always absolutely hate as the worst thing in the world, then it can always massively easily trigger those feelings in your nervous system. Whereas the more comfortable you come with the panic, then the less and less effect it has on you breaking that feedback loop. So in 6 minutes, literally it was lots of things to talk about, wasn't it? Lots of different things to talk about. But just giving you the understanding that it's not counselling, it's not psychotherapy, it's not talking about your childhood. It's a practical way for you to take specific actions to resolve the problem. And the whole purpose of this, is an empowering process. So the purpose of it is when you come out the other side, you know exactly what to do to recover from panic attacks, and you can do it. Because that's the only really way to recover, isn't it? So if any point in the future, whether it's 1 year, 10 years, 20 years, you firstly know exactly why they've come back, and you know exactly how your choices influence them coming back, and you know exactly what to do to recover from them as quickly as possible, So that's the way to look forward. Cool, well, I hope that helped, and I hope that answered your questions. If not, I don't know really. All right, brilliant, Nigel. Thanks a lot. Bye.